Hello, let us resume our reading of the prologue by Anne Bradstreet. Up to stanza number 4, we have found that the basic orientation of this particular text is focusing towards a kind of humility, towards a kind of self-depreciation, where Anne Bradstreet is overtly describing herself to be incapable of writing better poems. But now, or from now on, from stanza number 5, we will find that the focus is certainly got changed. She writes, I am obnoxious or unpleasant to each carping tongue. She is indicating that I am obnoxious. She is considering herself unpleasant. But then, to each carping tongue. You know what is carping tongue? Carping, this particular term is indicating, or it means difficult to please. Now the question is, who is difficult to please? You will find that the readers are actually indicated in terms of the patriarchal representatives. She writes, I am obnoxious to each carping tongue. Who says, my hand a needle better fits? Do you not find that the speaker or the persons who are indicating that in place of a pen, a needle better fits? So fundamentally, here or from here, you will find that the change in the direction is being taken place. Up to stanza number 4, we have found that the tone was something associated with a kind of self-depreciation. But here you will find that the focus is being ironic. The focus is being indicated in terms of the treatment of the women in a typical patriarchal setup. Patriarchy considers the do's and don'ts. Patriarchy gives the obligatory rules and regulations and norms to the females. And they consider that it is better to do household works rather than writing anything. The exposures are not needed for the women. So ultimately, all these kinds of subjugations and exploitations have been done by patriarchy. And here you will find that particular trait, that particular point is being indicated by Anne Bradstreet in stanza number 5. She continues, I am obnoxious to each carping tongue who says my hand a needle better fits. A poet's pen, as we know, always being incorporated, a pen is mightier than a sword. A poet's pen, all scorn I should thus wrong. For such despite they cast on female wits. If what I do prove well, it won't advance. They will say it is stolen, or else it was by chance. So do you not find that in this particular stanza, the orientation is something changed, completely changed. She writes, a poet's pen all scorn I should thus wrong. That means if I use a pen, it is not that I am giving justice to the work of a poet, because a female cannot write anything. Because the female wits, quote unquote female wits, these have been always been scorned, always been mocked at by the patriarchal representatives. And if it is possible that in spite of the subjugations, in spite of these do's and don'ts and norms, you see, in spite of this kind of classification, in spite of this hierarchization, that the females like Anne Bradstreet cannot write anything, that have been pointed or marked by patriarchy, or rather labeled by patriarchy, then if she can prove it well, that yes, I can, if she can do better, if she can write a good poem, an advanced form of writing, then how these will be accepted? How these will be treated by them? What will be their voice? Who are they? Patriarchy itself. And as we know, the patriarchy does not mean to be the males alone, because it's a construct. And within this construct, that is within the construct of patriarchy, the females also being included, who became parts and parcel of patriarchy itself. And a female is dominating other females in this way. It is there, but mainly the focus is being associated with the patriarchal representatives who are primarily the male figures. Now the question is, if, as Bradstreet is propagating here towards the end of this particular stanza, if what I do prove well, that it might be possible that in the form of writing, I have proved my excellence, I have proved my quality, I have proved my knowledge, I have proved my talent, then what would happen? Then they will say, obviously they, that us and they, the differentiation, the bifurcation, the dichotomy is being oriented here. They will say it is stolen. It is stolen from any other quote-unquote male figures. Stolen from any other masters, you see. And the master and the slave orientation is also being present. Either it would be considered as stolen, or else it was made by chance. It's a fluke. So if somebody like Anne Bradstreet, if somebody like a female figure could write anything good, then it would be considered, oh, it's a matter of chance that she had written it. If she had been given the chance in future, then it will be proved that, oh, it was a matter of chance. It was a fortune. She was fortunate enough to find such kind of expressions, such kind of language, such kind of orientations to the male writing that actually influenced her better, influenced her much. That's why she could become able to write such kind of poems. In that way, she would be treated. She continues, but sure, the antique Greeks were far more mild. That means in the Greek writing, or in the Greek construct, societal construct, we find that there are the references of the 9 muses. And the 9 muses are females, as you see. And what they considered, that without the proper intervention of these 9 goddesses, no person, whether he would be the representative of patriarchy or he would be rather a patriarch even, they considered that without the help or aid or intervention of these 9 muses, no person can write anything. So you need the blessings. You need the influences. And that's why the Greeks were mild. That's why they actually gave importance to the females. But now, when Bradstreet is writing in the typical 17th century England, she finds that there is a big difference between the orientations of thought. The thoughts that were taught by the Greeks and such kind of thoughts that have been taken for consideration by the English, or rather Americans. She writes, but sure, the antique Greeks were far more mild, else of our sex, females. Why feigned they? Those 9, that is the 9 goddesses of poetry, or 9 goddesses of fine arts. And poesy made Calliope's own child. You know Calliope. She was one among the 9 goddesses, 9 muses. And the muses, as I mentioned earlier, that they were the daughters of Zeus and Mnemosyne. And poetry is being considered but under the power of Calliope. So it has been considered that poesy, that is poetry, made Calliope's own child. Why did they do so? So, amongst the rest, they placed the arts divine. That means all the other parts of art, all the other sections of fine art were being divided among the other 8 muses, apart from Calliope. So amongst the rest, that means rest of the muses, they, that is the Greeks, placed the arts divine arts, that is fine arts. But this weak knot, they will soon untie. The weak knot of problems and so. They will soon untie, the knot will be untied. The Greeks did not but play the fools and lie. But ultimately, whenever you will think in the present scenario, it seems that the Greeks did not but play the fools and lie. So the lies were there. it seems, in today's consider. In today's consider, in this particular condition, you will find that the Greeks were considered to be fools. They were following the lies. As in the present scenario, you will find that the orientations are different. They were considered that today the thought processes have got changed. And how Anne Bradstreet ends this particular poem, with what particular note, we will discuss in our next lecture. Thank you.